Hi everyone, and welcome to Bookmaking Podcast. This is an English podcast series where we explore books in English. Some of you guys may already know me, but for those who don't, let me introduce myself. I am the founder of Bookmaking Podcast, which is from Thai words mean not good at talking. And I'm so glad you're here to listen to my podcast. My goals of creating this podcast series is to practice my English skill and review the book that I think is interesting to people who don't understand Thai. So, whether you're a regular listener or just tuning in for the first time, thank you very much for joining me. And as I'm not a native speaker, I sometimes use the wrong grammar or pronounce some words incorrectly. So, I want to apologize, and I promise that I will try my best to improve myself to be better and better. And if you guys are ready for the book review this episode, let's get started. For today's episode, the book I've picked to review is called Pluto. If you are a fan of girl love stories or girl love theories, you might have heard of Pluto. The structure of my podcast will be first, I will talk briefly about Pluto novel, just to give you guys a sense of story and characters. Then, I'll move on to the series adaptation and share my thoughts on how it was brought to the screen. And finally, we'll dive into the differences between the book and the series. What changed, what stays the same, and how those changes affect the story overall. So, let's start with Pluto's story. As you guys know that Pluto is a girl love novel, it centers around a lawyer named May or Maythawee and a pair of twins. Their name is I and or their full name is I Un and Ob So, Maythawee or May is a confident and capable woman. She's smart, well organized, and know how to take control of a situation. But despite her professional strengths, she still struggles with unresolved issues with her relationship with her father. And there are I and right? They're twin sisters who may look identical on outside, but are completely different on inside. Um or is the younger twin. She's beautiful, intelligent, and successful. She works as a flight attendant and seems to have everything going for her. However, I, she's more laid back and less accomplished by society standards. She graduated later than and is currently unemployed, which often make her feel like she's falling behind. The story begins on a big day, the day of wedding. Marrying Paul, the owner of an airline. As you guys know, is like a perfect girl, right? Everything seems perfect on the surface. But before the celebration ends, pulls I aside to ask her for something unexpected, something that completely shocks I. Asks I to break up with her ex-partner. Imagine if your sister Whether your older or younger sister asks you to go and break up with her ex partner, what do you feel? Awkward, right? And you may think, why don't you go by yourself? Why me? Right? It's your problem, not mine. And yes, also doesn't want to get involved. It feels strange. She's not comfortable stepping into her sister's past like that. But the way of asking I to go and tell a bad news to ex partner. Very calm, composed, and a little mysterious. Something about her tone makes it hard for I to say no. So, in the end, I start thinking that also her family, even they fight a lot, but she is still her younger sister. So, I agree to take on the task. And she's not knowing how much this mission will affect her life and people around her after that. And there are some serious situation happen on the day that marrying Paul. On that day after the celebration, after asked I for her mission in the middle of the night, and Paul went outside, and they're still in the wedding dress. So they involved in a car accident, and that car accident make Paul's makes Paul die and um in a severe situation, which is very sad, right? When you marrying someone and he died on the marrying on that day, and everyone still shocked. But I know that she have to go to say the breakup news to ex-partner. She very worried about her younger sister, but she cannot break a promise about her mission. So while was slept for a long time, I goes to visit ex-partner, thinking it's going to be simple. In her mind, she planned everything. Just deliver the message, explain the situation, and leave. Easy. But the moment she stepped into the house, she think that this guy will be very rich because the house is so big, and also everything, furniture or the decoration in the house is very luxury and expensive. But after she gets into the house, she also get her first big surprise that ex-partner is a woman, not a man, which not what I expected at all. Then comes to the second shock. The woman is blind. Eyes freeze. She doesn't know what to say or how to go through with what she come to do. So even you are like your heart is like an ice, you cannot deny or you cannot tell bad news to the one you just met, and she's blind and she believes that you are another person. You are your sister. It's weird, right? And also, her name or the woman name is Maythawee, which is lawyer. She's a good lawyer. She's very good at her work, but she's a bit arrogant. However, before I can proceed anything further, Maythawee make a move. Maythawee kisses I. At that time, you know, you come to the house and you just realize that your younger sister like girls. And the girls that younger sister like is blind. And she also think you are your younger sister. And lastly, your youngest ex-partner kiss you. And that moment, if you were I, you may like, what happened to me? What should I do? And that's make I's world upside down. The simple task she thought would be over in a minute suddenly become the start of something way more complicated and emotional. And this is brief story about Pluto. So I don't want to spoil you all or the whole story. I want you to just go and watch or read a book, which I think you should do both. But in Pluto's story is a story full of unexpected twists, complex emotions, and layered characters, especially when it comes to I, and Maythawee. What starts as a simple favor turns into a deep emotional journey and challenges how each character sees love, loyalty, and themselves, which make it one of the most interesting plots I ever seen. So, as I also watch a movie and read a book, I feel like one thing that Maythawee has is her love loyalty. She um how can I say not to spoil that much? Um she in love, she like love one girl and that one girl still stick in her mind. She not um love someone else. And it's amazing. She like an arrogant, manipulate girl, but when it comes to her first love, she is very kind, she is very calm, and also she changed herself. She changed herself to be like listener and more more empathy. Yeah. And up next, I will talk about how this story was adapted into a series and what worked, what changed, and what stood out. As you guys know, that Pluto also a series, right? And series was produced by GMMTV, a Thai media company. They have a lot of artists that they can choose to be a main cast. However, the decision on the main cast in this series, they decided on a right decision as they choose Namtan and Phim to be the main cast. They not only have a good acting skill but also good chemistry. So I will talk about Namtan and theme first, and then we'll go to compare the Pluto novel and series. So, Namtan or Namtan Tipnari, she plays as a twin sister, Iun and Ob. She skillfully brings out the sharp contrast between two sisters, the more reserved, struggling Iun, and the confident, successful Ob. And she did well. And another person is Phim Rachanan. She portrays May or Maythawee, the blind woman who unexpectedly changed Iun's life. Her performance captures May quite strength and vulnerability with a great nous. As Phim has to play as a blind woman, she did well. She make me feel like she blind in real life. Her eyes when her move or her movement when she walks, she goes somewhere or she did something. It's make me feel like she is really blind. So she did a lot of homework on this cast. So I want to com- um, compliment her about this that she did well. So now let's compare novel and the story. Um, First of all, I want to talk about the character portrayal and development. In the novel, we can get deep insight into Iun's internal thoughts and struggles, especially her insecurities and gradual emotional growth. But in the series, it's focused more on visual storytelling and expressions. While Namtan's acting clearly showed the twin dynamics, some of Iun's inner conflicts feels more subtle or hinted, rather than fully explored. And secondly, story, pacing, and focus. In the book, as you guys may know that the book is more um, slower and it takes time developing relationship and emotional moments deliberately, which let reader absorb the complexities of characters and their past. On the other hand, in the series, as they has fixed time to do it, like around 12 episodes, it condensed some of storylines to fit the episode format. Certain scenes are shortened or omitted, which speeds up the plot but may lose some of the original depth. And third, the character of Maythawee or May. In the novel, May is very composed, mysterious, sexy, emotional guarded, and also she's very like a bit, not really, a bit arrogant. However, in the series, as theme also a main cast of May, her personality is soft and she adds more warmth and vulnerability to May. It makes her easier to connect with early on. She also portrays tenderness to the character's blind perspective. And fourth, visual and emotional tone. In the book, it feels introspective and bittersweet, with a more melancholic atmosphere. But in the series, they uses visual, music, and acting to create a romantic, sometimes drama tone that heightens key emotion moments. And lastly, ending and interpretation. Without any spoilers, the series ending offers more conclusive and hopeful resolution for the characters. However, in novel's ending, it leaves a bit more open-ended reflections, inviting reader to think about characters' future on their own. Beside the bigger changes, there are also some smaller differences in details between novel and series that fans might find interesting. For example, in the book, Ai-un and Ob-um live with their mom and dad, but in the series, they stay with their grandmother instead. This subtle change affect the family dynamics and how their home life is portrayed. And another difference is the character Pim. If you guys watch the series, you will know that Pim is an officer who plays a role in the story and become girlfriend of Bang. Bang is a friend of Ai-un. But in the book, her character doesn't appear at all. These slight changes may seem minor, but they can influence the tone and relationship in the story, showing how adaptations sometimes reshape details to fit the medium better. And that wraps up my review and comparison of Pluto, both in novel and series. Whether you prefer slow burn depth of the book or emotional visuals of the series, Pluto offers a compelling story about love, family, and self-discovery. I have to say that I really love the main cast in the series. Namtan and Film's chemistry is very amazing, and it truly brings the story to life in a heartfelt way. If you've read a book or watched the series, I love to hear what you think. Which version did you connected more, and were there any characters or moment that you feel like you impressed or like it? You can share in the comments below. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of Put Podcast. I want to apologize again if I sometimes not fluent in speaking and also use some words wrong. And I hope you will enjoy my podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe and share if you enjoy it. And I will see you next time with another book review in English series podcast, which I will try to select the book that I think it's interesting and fun to read. So I'll see you next time with another book. Thank you.